Next up for restoration is a 1957 Williams 10 pins. This is a sister game to the 10 strike, which is almost identical except for the 10 strike you can win free games. This one, 10 pins, is a novelty version. You don't win any free games. They also made a 7-foot version, which is a 6-player, and this is 5 foot. 7 foot is a lot longer. So then they later on in the 70s they came out with Williams Mini Bowl, which was looked totally different. And at some point somebody replaced the Mannequin in this game with the Mannequin from a Mini Bowl. You can tell by the colors. But this game's got some issues. Whole front of the cabinet is rotted off. Here's the front of the cab, coin box tray, coin door, and the wrong lock bar. I don't know what that's off of, pitch and bat or something. It's also missing the right control knob. Looks like somebody put a pitch and bat handle on it. Hopefully the game's complete. You never really know for sure until you get diving into it. But dome's completely shot. They always are on these games. Missing the back door. Back box missing the back door. Big chunk out of the top corner. And these metal score reels, they got some damage, so they're pretty hard to find, but we're gonna have to find those. And as usual, the back glass is toast. So the next step was I'm gonna break it down and get the cabinet, all the parts off the cabinet, and start repairing the cab. So we'll catch back up with you. And here's the bottom of the cabinet. It's definitely sitting on concrete, moist concrete for a while. Totally got to the bottom of that. It's gonna have to be all replaced. And here's a better look at the Mannequin. And the art on the cabinet's totally wrong. Gonna have to make stencils and put the original graphics back on. All right, so let's start tearing this thing down. All right, and we have all the mechanics taken out, game's disassembled, and ready to start stripping the paint and fixing all the damage. So we'll follow up once we make any progress on that. And we started to tear off the rotten plywood and rebuild, so got a lot more cleanup to do here, but I just thought I'd bring you up to date on where we're at with it. Catch back up with you once we make a little more progress. All right, working on the cabinet. Got the ribs installed and the T-nuts that hold the bottom panel in. So I'm gonna start working on the bottom of the cabinet now. All right, so making some progress on the cabinet. Got it clamped up here. Got the bottom panel in. T-nuts for the bottom control panel. Support blocks. Front panels on. And the lake bolt block is in, missing one over here, so I have to make that one next. So I'm gonna keep putting parts on and make some progress. And here's a look at the new bottom. So the repairs are complete, except for making the back doors, which I'm going to do next. All right, and we have the back doors made. All right, so now we're going to work on this piece of missing wood here. So we're going to fix that top, and we'll come back when I show you that it's done. All right, and here we have the wood replaced. Got a little more work to do on it, and you'll never know it was missing. All right, so now we are in the process of the paint stripping. Got the majority of it off. And we're ready to move on to sanding the cabinet and doing the body work, all the dings and repairs, and get it ready for paint. So once I get a little bit more done along those lines of process, I'll catch back up with you. And we are finished with stripping the paint on the outside of the cabinet. So we can move on to sanding the inside and starting the body work on all the dents and dings and broken wood on the cabinet, and then get it ready for primer. Okay, so we put a whole new wood front panel on. This game is notorious for having the front panel crack because it was made out of solid wood. So if your humidity levels weren't good in your house, it would dry out and crack, usually split across right there on either side. So we got all new wood in there, we'll be good to go. All right, so we have the cabinet in primer. And what we'll be doing next is going over it with a UV light, find all the imperfections, and do the final preparation for paint. It's pretty damn close right now, but there's always something small you're gonna find. But for the first go around, it's pretty straight. Can't really see it because it's kind of overcast today. All right, so I'll catch back up when we get to the next stage, and then probably next what I'll be doing while this is drying, I'll be mixing the paint, the base color blue. So that'll probably be the next thing I show you. Okay, and we have it mixed. We're gonna do a little shaking. Get that shooken up, and then we'll check the color code again. We're getting close. This is genuine automotive acrylic lacquer, just like they used back in the factory. Very hard to get and very expensive, but the colors match a lot better than a lot of guys use house paint. I don't like house paint. Okay, now that we have it in primer, I'm doing a scan on the cabinet, and this will show up all the imperfections, and I just draw a circle around them with a pencil. And then we'll repair those, do another coat of primer, and then she'll be ready to prep for, final sanding for paint. Okay, so we spotted all the imperfections with the scan, and we have those filled in all the way around the cab. So let that cure, and then we'll sand that and sand the whole cabinet down one more time, primer it again, and then should be ready for paint after that. Okay, so just got done mixing the blue cab color, and while I was at it, I decided to mix 3 gallons because I got 3 games in queue, so we got 3 gallons of matching color. And this is good quality automotive acrylic lacquer. That is, in my opinion, the best paint you can get for these games. It's what they used from the factory back in the day. So got to finish prepping the cabinet. Got some small little imperfections to sand out, scuff the primer, and then we'll be ready to start painting. Okay, hopefully this will be the final primer, last coat of primer. We fixed all the imperfections. I'll go over it one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything. But it's all ready for the last coat of primer here, and hopefully we'll be doing some paint tomorrow. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of paint work. We're painting the bottoms of the back box and the bottom cab. That way when we flip it over, right side up, it'll be painted, and then we can do the rest of it. All right, we're now mixing the red for the artwork on the cabinet. Trying to get that dialed in. I got pretty close, but I got a little bit more tinning to do on it. All right, just sprayed a test panel. I think we're real close right now. And we have the 10 pins yellow mixed. So we have all 3 colors mixed now. This week we'll be painting the cab blue, let that dry, and then we'll be starting the artwork on it, which is the red and the yellow. Okay, we just got done spraying the blue. Really smooth. And next, we're going to be moving on to the artwork. This cabinet turned out really nice, really nice. So it's starting to get to the fun stage now. Got the base color, we can start working on adding the graphics, and when those colors go on, that's when the thing's really going to start to stand out. So we got bottom cab, upper back box sprayed, and we'll go in the shop. All these games that are undercover are 99% restored, ready to go out. And here's the doors. When you spray lacquer dries really fast. So normally what I would do is like spray the inside and then mask it off and spray the outside, because it dries so fast that the overspray from the outside goes on the inside and makes it look grainy, like sandy. But the nice thing about spraying this time of year, because it's kind of cold out, it's actually too cold to paint, but perfect for lacquer, because it's almost like adding a retarder to the lacquer, and it slows the drying process down. So I was able to spray the inside and the outside all at the same time without any overspray affecting it, and it worked out really well. All right, catch up with you next stage. Artwork for the back box. I have the stencils cut. So we're going to start painting the back box, and I'll catch back up when we get some art on it. Okay, so we have the yellow artwork on the back box. And we'll be moving on. Gotta let this dry. Then I'll move on to doing the red, and then the trim gets black around the inside edge of that. So be back with you when we get some more done. All right, we're getting started on the artwork on the bottom cab. So we're going to start with this, and then that way I can flip it on its side and do one of the sides without this touching anything while it's wet. So I'll catch back up when I get some more art on there. Okay, so we made a little more progress. So got the yellow on the front edge. Turned out beautiful. Looks very nice. Okay, so back on the back box, and we have the final art done on one side, so I'm going to flip it over and do the other side now. Okay, we're on the side art on the bottom cab. So I got the red on, let that dry, and move on to the yellow. Okay, making a little bit more progress on the back box. The art is almost finished. Still got the black trim to do and finish the other side there. So be back with you when we get some more done. Okay, update here. We got one side of the bottom cab finished. Artwork came out really nice and straight. Happy with it. Just a little bit overspray, just the way you want them, like they were in the factory. Okay, so let this dry, and then flip it over and do the other side. And rinse and repeat on the left side here. So we'll let this red dry and then move on to the yellow. Okay, and the yellow is on now. Got a little cleaning up to do, and then the cabinet's paint's almost done. Be moving on to the coin door and the legs. All right, and we're back on the back box, and we're spraying the black on the trim. So we're getting really close to getting the paint work on the cab done. Okay, we have the legs out, and we're going to start getting these ready to refinish. So get the old rusty leg levelers off and start working on stripping them down to bare metal. I'll catch back up when I get something done. Okay, we're working on the final paint work on the 10 pins. A couple more coats here and we'll be done. Then we can start putting it together. It's coming out really nice. Looking forward to being done with the paint work and move on to the mechanicals. We have the legs sandblasted and ready for a primer. So we're going to throw some primer on these now and get ready for paint. Okay, we're ready for primer now. And now we're going to spray the red. here we have the finished legs. So we'll let those dry and cure, and then we can start thinking about putting a cabinet together. Well, I'm glad I got most of my painting done this week. Weather has taken a turn for the worst, and there's not going to be any painting out here. We have the coin door on the table now. We're going to disassemble it and get it ready to start prepping it for paint. It's a little bit of a mess. There's wires aren't connected. Hopefully it's not dented too bad. I think there's some dents in it we gotta fix. But some rust, and coin door tag is toast. So let's do some work on it, and I'll be back with you. Took the tape off that was on the coin door, and I always enjoyed the interesting hand painting on these older games. Okay, we're ready to sandblast the coin door, get it ready for primer. All right, we have the primer station set up, so coin door is on the table, getting ready to receive its primer. So let's get that sprayed. And the other side. We have the backside painted now, so we're going to let that dry and then move on to the front. Still got a ways to go. And here we have the back box installed and the legs installed, and also the back doors, but I'll have to spin it around to give you a view of those. We've got the back doors. So let me spin it around and we'll get the other side in the back doors. And the other side in the back doors. And we now have paint on the coin door. So that is finished, and I'm going to be moving on to the mechanicals. We have the coin door ready to be installed. Let me flip it over and show you the back side. And here's the back side. Still have a little bit of wiring to do, but I'm gonna wait till it's in the game for that, when everything's in, because somebody took the slam switch out and there's no wiring to that, and for some reason they cut the coin switch. So I'll put that in the game, and then we'll trace all the wiring in the schematic and get that fixed. And now we have the coin door installed. Quick shot of it. Okay, working on the cabinet bells, and this coil is freaking had a lot of use. That coil sleeve is metal, and it's worn through to where the holes oblong, and it's down inside there. It's worn away. That metal sleeve is worn away. So I don't know if I can replace that metal sleeve. It's really tight. Probably have to try to find a whole new coil. Also, the plungers are toast. The nylon is loose and all butchered up on the end. And this one's missing the nylon altogether. So I'm gonna have to find those also. Well, I put the meter on it just to test it. I was gonna replace it anyway because of that wear. It looks like it's wearing through the coil sleeve and possibly into the windings. And so I put the meter on it. It tests bad anyway, so it's junk. Making a little progress on the harness here. The on and off switch is pretty crusty. If it looks that way on the outside, it's certainly that way on the inside. So I'm gonna look at my stockpile, see if I have a brand new one, put a new one on there. All right, and the power switch is brand new installed. So all the harness for the front of the cab by the coin door is done now. I'm just waiting for some parts, and once they come, I'll probably have them by Wednesday, about 3 days, and then can start putting this back in the cab. Okay, so we finally got some parts in for the bells. We got the plungers and the coil. So we're good to go now to finish the harness and get it installed in the cabinet. So let's open those packages and let's get this thing put together. All right, we have the new parts on the table. So you can see the two on the left are the spent coil plungers for the bells, and the right are the brand new coil plungers for the bells. And then we get a brand new replacement coil that was fried on this one. The plunger actually wore through the winding because when I put the multimeter on it, it was an open circuit. So let's get these in the harness and then we'll be ready to install it in the cabinet. Okay, so the old coil is now ready for the garbage can. So that one's out and we have the new coil in. So we're ready to assemble this now. Okay, we have the harness for the bells put back together. So let's install that in the cabinet. All right, so we're installing some parts on the cabinet. Got some bits and pieces. Got the light board stops in. There. And we got the bell scoring assembly in the harness. And then the metal protectors in there. And we got the backdoor key hook in, some of this paper labels, the tilt, coin meter. Still got to finish some of the harness here. I'm going to wait till I get everything installed in the game, they don't have to read the schematics and figure out what they got going on here. They got a bunch of speaker wire, and you still have to connect on and off switch right there in the cabinet and fasten that down. But got some parts back on. Okay, we're getting ready to start the pin unit. I think it has, what, 2 pins in it. Those pins are hard to find, trust me. It looks like they have some heavy solder wrapped around some of these rods to help, probably help bring the pins back up. So it's not the way you want to do it, but all right, so let's get started on this thing. All right, we're back on the pin unit. I have it all torn down. Everything's bagged and labeled. And we're gonna start refurbishing all these parts and get it ready to go back in the cab. For a small little pin unit, there is a lot of little parts in this thing. I mean, just look at that box full of stuff. And it's gonna take a while, but everything does on these games. So let me get to work on it and I'll update you as I go along. Here we have the 10 pins pin bank unit. Everything's refurbished, getting ready to put back together. So everything's completely torn down, gone through, cleaned, polished. So the next thing, when I come back, the next thing will be, we'll have this all together and I'll show you the end result with it. But it's gonna look really nice when it's finished here. I'm in the process of putting the pin unit back together, working on the door right now. I got the new rubber and rebound rubber and new vinyl in there. So let's get this door on and then we'll see if we can mount it to the bottom plate. So moving along here. I now have the pin unit pretty much put back together. Everything's restored. New light sockets. The only thing left I have to do are these switches here. There's supposed to be a switch cover that covers those, and it mounts right where these 2 screws are, and it's missing on this game, so I have to make one and install that. But other than that, it's done. So I'll be working on that now. But I got all new padding in there for the rebound door. And other than a switch cover, the only other thing I have to do is do the strings and the bowling pins themselves. But other than that, it's pretty much done. Came out really nice. So that'll look really nice going back in the cabinet. So let me work on that switch cover. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back with the switch cover. It's finished and installed. Has the paper label on it. So we're good to go there. So like I say, it's just a matter of doing the bowling pins now and the strings. So let's get started on that. I now have the bowling pins out and we're gonna start trying to clean those up the best we can. and get those installed in the pin unit. All right, started working on the pins and found a little bit of a surprise here I'm not happy about. This one pin, the bottom's broken, and they JB welded the metal screw on it partially, and it's really on there, so I don't know if I'm gonna try to get it out without breaking the pin. You can't find these pins, so hopefully I can get this repaired. I got the fastener out, and you can see why they had it glued in there, because the whole bottom broke out. So we're gonna have to make a plastic bottom and drill and tap it so we can get it back the way it would have been from the factory. So just little stuff like this each time. We're gonna move on to cleaning this stuff here though. I'll get this all cleaned and get it ready to go back together, and then we'll work on that and finish that. I'm now working on the pin screws are finished, they're all cleaned, and I'm soaking the actual pins to try to get them cleaned up the best I can. So we'll let them soak, then I'll do some scrubbing on them, and I'll show you the result when I'm done. Here we have the initial cleaning on the pins. They turned out pretty good. A couple of them have some, wear dirt and beaten into them, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get that out. I'll do some polishing on it now and see if I can get that out. I may or may not be able to get that out, but I think they look satisfactory the way they are, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. And we just have to fix that one pin, which I think it's that one anyway. No, it's not. So we'll let them dry and try to polish them a little more, and then we'll move on to that repair, and then we can start stringing them up. So I have the repair, the part cut and in place, and I'm just letting it dry now. So we're putting a little heat on it with this light, and then once that cures and flashes off, we'll drill and tap it and get the string screw installed, and then that repair will be done on this thing. Here we have the repair finished on the broken pin. So it's just a matter of drilling the center hole and tapping it for the string screw. So it should come out nice, looks good. Here we have the finished pin repair. Came out really well. So let's move on to stringing them up. So I have the pins and the string screws all refurbished, ready to go back in the pin unit. So that's what we're going to move on to next. I now have the pins strung and installed in the pin unit. I may take this back apart and do black string. I'm not sure. Let's see what it looks like once it's in the game. It's really strong line, so the black string I have isn't quite as strong, and I just feel better with this stuff, but it's not adjusted yet. I have the strings run long, a little bit wild. That way, when I put the Playfield in the game and connect the pins to the magnets, that's when I can do all the adjusting to get the proper height. Now getting ready to start the bottom control panel. This will be the last mechanism board that goes inside the bottom cabinet. After what I've been through, this won't be too bad. When I say what I've been through with the last couple restorations. All right, so let's get this started. All All right, next up on the 10 pins, we have the pin unit finished and installed in the game. Well, it's finished as I can get it right now because I have to adjust the strings on it, but that'll come after I get the Playfield in it. They're a little long right now, and you can see the tails are just stuck inside the game there just until I can trim them and adjust it to the Playfield. So it's a nice little mechanism to have in the game now. And going to be back on this large control panel that goes in this area right here in this cavity, and we'll get that restored next and get that in the game. Then I'll probably move on to the Playfield just so I can close the cabinet and keep any dust out of it, and then move on to the back box. So I don't know, I might do the back box first, who knows. I wouldn't mind getting the back glass in it, but it's a beauty. I'll update you soon. Right now I'm working on the bottom control panel. So it had some planking in it, some imperfections in the wood. So we're just repairing those before we paint this. So let me get this sanded and then we'll be ready to put some paint on this. All right, I got some paint on this bottom panel. So we'll let that dry, and I'm gonna start working on the mechs to get those on, restored, get those on, and get it set in the game here. So let's keep pushing forward. All right, I have the bottom control panel on the bench here, ready to start restoring this. That'll go on that wood that I just painted. So these, seen a little moisture. It's a little crusty. But we'll get this all taken apart, refurbish it, and I'll show you the end result when I'm done here. Still working on the bottom control panels. Restoring the fasteners and their springs that hold the smaller Playfields or control boards on top of the main control board, and also putting on the paper labels. So I got a little more work to do on the springs. They were pretty crusty, and then I'll start putting the smaller control boards, mounting those to this larger one here, and then it's off to the mechs on that table right there. So we'll tackle that next after I get this done. So I'll update you again soon. Okay, we have the mini control boards attached to the main control board. So they're attached with these springs to alleviate any vibration that may trigger one of the coil banks. So that's done, and we're moving on to the harness with all the mechs on it next. And we're gonna try to get that done this week so we can get this installed into the cabinet. Okay, so I have all the mechanics on the bottom control board finished. 99% finished. I still have some grounding wire to put on or replace, but she's all ready to go back on the bottom board here. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to get that mounted and finish the ground wire, and then this will be ready to go in the game. So this is a lot of work right here, if you've ever done one, to tear it down and redo everything, but it's going to look good when I put it together. All right, I have the bottom control board finished, and we're ready to stick it in the game. So let me do that, and I'll be back and we'll see it in the machine. All right, and here we have the bottom control board installed into the game. So it's starting to look like something, starting to look like a machine again. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna move on to probably the back box next. I'll do the score reels and that, all the mechanisms back there to get that back glass and everything in, and then we'll move on to the actual playfield. Got the score light board out. That'll be what I'm working on next. So when I get something done, I'll catch back up with you. And I'll have the scoreboard for the back box disassembled and ready for restoration. So we're gonna start with the paint work on this, and then we'll start the parts to get them ready to go back on it. Okay, I have the repairs finished on the scoreboard, so it's time to put it in primer and get it ready for paint. All right, working on the scoreboard. I just finished all the score reels. So the finished ones, they're all in bubble wrap just so they don't get damaged. These metal score reels are kind of fragile. I got one that was mishandled at some point in its life, and it's cracked and pretty bent out of shape. So I had bought some last year, same size, and thought I had that handled, but the fonts are it's a different font on the ones I bought than what's on the game, so it's not going to look right. So what I'm probably going to have to do is take one out of my machine. There's the head for it, and try to source one for my machine later, just so I can keep this project going. So tomorrow should be a better day. Score reels took a long time, and ready to move on to the frame unit and the coils under there and all the light sockets and everything. So that's gonna about do it for today for me. So I have the mechanics done on the scoreboard, and I'm starting to put the light scoreboard back together. I got all the light sockets in, and we're ready to string the ground wire now. So let me continue on. All right, just got done with the ground braid. So all the ground wire's on now. And there's some of that ground wire goes on the hot side of these sockets also in certain places. So I'll do that next, and then we'll be ready to put this harness on the scoreboard, the light board, and start thinking about getting it mounted into the cabinet. I'm now ready to transfer the Max from the workbench onto the scoreboard. I got all the wiring on, all the jumpers, the daughter board. So we're ready to marry these together and get it ready to go back in the game. Okay, we got the scoreboard pretty much ready to go back in the game. You got the light bulbs to put in it, and I gotta still replace that score reel that goes on the damaged one right there. And other than that, it's pretty much done. Just a couple of little minor things. So we'll be getting this in the game today, and I'll update you once I get it in the game, and we'll get the final look on it. I'll be able to put the back glass into it, which would be kind of cool, because the empty back glass or empty back box, it'll look a lot more complete. Like after that, pretty much it's just the main playfield that I have to do on this, and then coin up and troubleshoot. So adjust the pins, just a bunch of little stuff. All right, I got the scoreboard installed into the cabinet. I got to do the back glass next. And I still have a score reel to fix. That's why one's missing there. Looks real good. That's probably 50 to 60 hours worth of work right there. Doesn't seem like it should be, but it is. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the back glass. I already have it on the bench. And we're gonna get this prepped and get ready to install that. All right, change of direction here. I was gonna take a score reel off of my back box to replace the one that's damaged on this restoration. And the problem is I'm gonna have to find one for mine, which I'm still gonna be in the same situation later on. So I have a replacement, the exact same score reel. It's on the left, but the fonts are different. You can see the big difference there in the fonts. So I decided to restore it. I'm in the middle of airbrushing this now. This is the one on the left is the one that I'm painting right now. It's the identical. So same score reel, different font, and I'm airbrushing the exact same font onto this one. So I got it pretty much done. I'm just gonna let it dry and then put a seal coat on it, and then we'll be able to install it. And hopefully the color, the other trick to this is the color of the white has to match these. Otherwise it's gonna look funny. So I think I have it, but let me finish airbrushing this and let it dry, and then we'll try to install it and see what it looks like. All right, I have that score reel finished, and I'm gonna install it now, and hopefully the colors match, the white matches. I did hold it up to the other score reels. It looks like it's a really good match, but until I get it in there, I won't know for sure. So let me install it. I'll be right back. Okay, I have the score reel installed, and I'm really happy with it. The color is dead on. So that was a pretty difficult repair there. Try to do those fonts and get that color match, but they all look the same. So I'm really tickled with that. All right, let's move on to the bowling alley. Disassembling the bottom of the Playfield, the bowling alley, and this armature, man. I just spent a good hour on it. I don't know if you could see it right there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Somebody broke a tap. They drilled through the armature right there and broke a tap off into the Mannequin post. There was no way that was coming off. If you ever tried to remove a tap, that's hardened steel. You can't drill it, can't do anything. The only thing you can do is grind it. So I got the armature off and ready to finish taking this apart. All right, I got the bottom of the bowling alley, the bowling lane stripped off. So let's flip it over and start the other side. All right, we gotta have the Playfield right side up, so we're gonna finish taking off the rest of the parts. This angle iron has to come off. That's not original, that should not be on there. So it's nice somebody put that on there for me. So now I gotta fix screw holes and match the colors and go through a whole bunch of extra work. Got a lot of wear over here. Big divots. This game must have got a lot of play. So that's gonna have to be repaired. And then the stainless brackets or stainless bezels up here come off, and that's gonna be about it. And we can start the repairs then. All right, I got the top side stripped off. It was good to see that the angle iron wasn't hiding any surprises. I mean, it's got a little bit of wear, mostly right here. There's some chips out of it. Oh, hard to see because it's dirty. So I don't know if that's why they put that on there or not. But got some cleanup to do. There's a lot of residue from duct tape, which I have to clean off. I was trying to get the wood ball return off, and I decided to leave it because it must be rabbited in there and glued. I mean, there are screws on the back, but I think they were just to hold it until at the factory till the glue dried once they glued it in there. So I don't want to force it and break it. So I'll just have to refinish it on the Playfield. All right, so I'm gonna get this, let's get it cleaned off and then we'll start some repairs. All right, I'm done cleaning the Playfield. Well, I say that, but I still got a little bit to do. I have the duct tape residue. And if you look, there's all kinds of overspray on this Playfield. I gotta try to get that off. But there's various repairs. I got some bubbling there. Of course, the wear on the control handle. All kinds of little nicks going up underneath where the angle iron was. And then the gutters, they're starting to lose some chunks in them. So it's, you know, it's always a little more involved than what you think when you get started. I thought, oh, I just knocked this out. Well, that's never the case. I just noticed after cleaning it, there's scratches in the Formica. I don't know, somebody had sometimes the operators put a sticker on their machines and maybe somebody tried to get it off and it's scratched up a little bit. It's not horrible, but got a feeling that it's one of those things, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I'm gonna have to repair that. So it's gonna be a process. Just got done cleaning the residue off. I was able to get it off, and the overspray also, but there's still all kinds of marks in this thing. I'm gonna have to do all kinds of work here. And if you see that shadow there, the cigarette holder is supposed to go there. Starting with the gutter repair. So we have a homebrew mixture in there, and we'll let that cure, and then we can sand it and get it ready for paint. So I'm gonna start with the black. I'm gonna paint the black first, bottom and top, and then we'll start doing the Formica repairs. So I now have it drying under the infrared light. The infrared is a special kind of heat that cures this type of repair. So that'll dry a lot quicker. It's a little chilly out today, so I just thought I'd throw a little heat on it. All right, and we have the last coat on. So we're ready to start sanding this and get that ready for paint. All right, I have the gutter lanes sanded, and they're just about done. I got a couple little pinholes to fix, and then we'll be ready for paint. So I'm gonna try to get the gutters, the edging, and the bottom all sprayed in black today, and then we can start the brown artwork on the sides up top. So I'll update you when I get something else done. All right, I got the gutter lanes sanded, and I also have the wooden ball return track sanded. I don't want to paint this black and then get the wood dust all over it, because it would go down in the little scratches and knock them out. So, all right, moving on. We are ready to spray the black, so we got it masked off and we're ready to go here. So let's get this shot. Be right back. All right, I have the black sprayed, so we're gonna let this dry and then we'll move on to the repairs on the Formica and color matching and getting that repaired. All right, just got done spraying the bottom side, so the black is done there. You can see where the coil brackets were mounted on the bottom here. The wood is hot. It got hot and is scorched. So I'll have to make sure I check those coils before I put them back in. All right, this morning I'm working on refurbishing some parts to go back onto the alley, the Playfield. So I got the ball lift unit torn down, cleaned, and it's drying under the infrared. And I also have the harness washed, getting ready to refurbish the parts on that. So I got a whole table full of this stuff that I'm just gonna go down through the line and do the same thing, wash and repeat. All right, working on the wire harness that goes under the alley, under the Playfield bowling alley. And when I showed you the bottom where it was scorched from one of the coils, well, I'm working on that harness right now. And you can see there's a brand new coil in this relay right there. But I just saw this and it's not good news. Look at the wiring. There's how many wires have been cut. And where did they go? I hate to see hacks like this. I have no idea why they did that. I'm gonna have to do some research on the schematics. There was this coil relay that was inside the machine that was hooked up elsewhere. Maybe that's supposed to go in here with this. I don't think so, but something's not right here. So let me continue on and I'll let you know what I find out. All right, did some research on that harness, that coil with all the cut wires, and the mystery has been solved. It was in relation to the scorched bottom of the Playfield. And so this coil that was in the machine is the actual coil that goes here. What happened was the coil must have burnt and scorched the bottom of the Playfield, but instead of them replacing the coil, they replaced the whole relay with a different relay that had switches from another game in it, and they just hacked the wires, snipped the wires that they didn't need, and basically used this switch and then one of these switches where instead of a double stack like this. So I was glad to figure that out. So I'll remove all that and we'll put the original relay back in the machine. All right, well, I thought I had it figured out. I was still trying to sort this mess out here. So they definitely replaced it with this junk. They snipped it off another game and made it work, but it's just, you got loose wires, it just looks like heck. So the one that was in there that I thought was gonna work won't, because I need 3 sets of switches normally open, and the one that I thought would work is only 2 sets of switches, and the armature doesn't have a slit in it for the third, so I can't use that one. So I'm gonna use the relay that was in it, but I'm gonna cut all this out. And I got on my spare parts, went through my spare parts, and I tracked down a 3 blade switch, normally 3 blades normally open, and it's also they're the smaller version. Like if you look at this one, I was going to try to add switches to this one, but see how these screws are farther apart, so they won't even fit on the, there's the, this one's screws are closer together. So I did source the 3 switches. So I got it. I got the part now. I just need to desolder all these wires and go through this rat's nest here and get it to work on this one. So let me continue on. I'll be right back. Just finished sorting out this mess here, so got everything tidied up the way it should be. So that's finished, ready to go back on the game. I guess I have this ouch, damn it. I have this grounding wire to do, but I won't do that till it's mounted to the playfield. So I'm gonna continue on down the line. We got some switches, we got a rheostat, we got different things to button up on this before it can go back on. So I'll follow up when I get something else done. All right, so I just finished the playfield harness. Everything's been gone through, rebuilt. I got new fuse block, brand new rheostat. Everything's gone through, so ready to move on to, I guess, get back on repairing the playfield, and that way I can start thinking about putting the parts back on. I still have a lot to do. I have the mannequin to do yet, the control handles to do, and some nickel plating that needs to be done, such as the instruction card holder and the ball guides, the rails. So I tell you, for when you first look at this playfield, you don't think it's that much work, but I have probably 50 hours in it so far, and I'm not even done yet. So it'll be worth it in the end, because that's going to be the focal piece. You know, it goes right on top, and it's going to be like right in plain view, so it's going to be like significant to get that done right. So looking forward to it. The difference between the 10 pins and the 10 strike on the playfield is the control balls for the aim and ball are a different color. The 10 pins, they're orange, and on the 10 strike, they're red. So here's a playfield off of my game, and mine is a 10 strike. You can see the control balls are red, and on this 10 pins, the control balls are orange. So let's continue on, and I'll catch you up when I get something else done. All right, next up we're going to deal with the Mannequin coil plunger pawl. It's been damaged where somebody tapped it and did all kinds of funky stuff to it. And these are not available, so you're going to have to, it's in good shape other than that. It's not a big deal. It just gets set screws to mount it to the shaft of the Mannequin, and there's plenty of set screws. There's three other holes other than this one, so I'm just going to weld that one up and sand it smooth just to make it look presentable. So let's get to it. All right, and here we have it repaired. So she's ready to go back into the machine. Let's move on to the next thing. All right, working on the Mannequin now. I got it all stripped to bare metal, sandblasted. Good news is I don't see any cracks in it at all, so the casting looks real good. I haven't opened it up yet, but we'll open it up and check the insides, check the gears and the lubrication, clean everything up, and then get it ready for primer and paint. So I'll be back when I get something done. All right, now I have the Mannequin and primer. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll get back on it with some paint. But first I'm going to tear the inside apart, or break it open and make sure the inside, everything's refurbished. I'll update you again tomorrow. All right, working on the Mannequin some more. I have it torn down and everything degreased and polished and ready to be greased up again and put back together. Forgot to take a video of it, but there was a lot of grease in there and it was all hardened. I had like a pile of it that was just hard as a rock. So let me get it back together and we'll start painting. Okay, so we have the control handles here. These are what came on the game. The left one's correct. The right one is also correct. Williams used the pitch and bat style handle and also the ball handle. I don't like the pitch and bat style that much. I just don't think it looks good on the game. Doesn't look like it belongs, even though they did use them. So I have two brand new ones, a left and a right, to match, and we're gonna put brand new controls on the machine. And here is the Williams 1962 parts catalog. This is the one that lists the 10 strike parts in it. And here's one page that shows, you know, the Mannequin, the gear, the coil plunger, the paw, all that stuff. But what I wanted to show you was the page that shows the bowling pins and the controls. So you can see right there in the manual that they did have a joystick option on this 10 pins and 10 strike, and then of course the round ball version. And it says this part was replaced by 2A2731. And there's 2A2731 right there. Started some paint work on the Mannequin. The insides have been gone through. And we got the shoes, the skin tone, the khaki pants, and the face. And most of the hairline, I still have to airbrush the edges to feather those in. And I'm still trying to match the color for the shirt. The one that I had before, that I used to own, had a pink sweater, and that's what I did on that one. But I'm not a real fan of the pink, so they also have an orange sweater on these guys, so I'm gonna do the orange. I think the orange would look a lot better, especially since the 10 pins has the orange control handles and everything. So I got the orange to do, and then a couple small details. So when I get something else done, I'll follow up with that. I just finished the Mannequin. Turned out really nice. Love the colors. It's going to look really good installed in the Playfield. I think I mentioned before, my first 10 strike had a pink shirt or sweater, which was an original color, but they also made this orange, which I like better. Being that this thing was painted the wrong color to start with, I felt I had the liberty to make it any color I wanted. It's still factory correct, but I just chose this color. It's just an awesome color. And this is why I use the high quality automotive lacquers. You just can't get that kind of pigment in latex or rattle cans. I don't even know if the colors really show that well on video. In person, it's just unbelievable. I now have all the Playfield parts restored and ready to be put back together. So we have the Playfield, and then this is a table full of all the parts that are going to go back on the Playfield. And here we have the finished Playfield. Come out just beautiful. We're getting ready. It's on the bench now. We're getting ready to start putting pieces back on it. So it's gonna look really good when we get the parts on it. So let's get moving on that. All right, so I started putting some parts on the Playfield today. I still have the bottom to do and the mannequin and whatnot, but the top side's almost done. That's enough for today, at least for now, and then we'll try to get it finished tomorrow. Got the magnets in up here too. All right, I'll update you again tomorrow. All right, I was working on the Playfield again today. I have the bottom almost populated. I still have the coil for the mannequin to install, but I'm gonna wait and do that tomorrow. This took a lot longer than I expected. Everything always does, but you know, there's just a lot going on here. So got all the harness installed, the paper labels, the mannequin, the controls are all hooked up with switches, and the rear ball lift motor installed. So I'll finish it up tomorrow, and then we'll be ready to set it into the cabinet. That'll be a good day. I have the Playfield 99% finished. So the top side's done, other than I may have to do an adjustment on the mannequin once I get the gameplay going. And the bottom side is finished, except for one last thing, which is kind of a problem that I gotta fix. This game is notorious for having coil issues for the mannequin power, and somebody had put in a non-original coil and they didn't have the old one in the game when I got it, so I can't even like rebuild it. So this is what an original AS20-900 10-strike coil should look like. See how much bigger it is if you compare the two. And the plunger is a lot bigger around than what they had in this game too. But luckily I have in new old stock plunger and coil, and it's my last one. So you hate to use your parts sometimes, but this is why you have parts, is to bring these games back when they're not working correctly or missing parts. So that's where we're at now. We're working on that, and then let me get that problem fixed, and then we'll start thinking about putting the Playfield into the cabinet here. The other part that's always broken on this machine, on this game also, is the plunger spring. I have a new old stock one of those to go in the game. So you'll see, a lot of times you'll see somebody put a screw in the bottom of the playfield and then run a extension spring because they can't find the spring. They're pretty hard to find. So let's get to work and get this installed. I have the coil assembly temporarily installed. I got some adjustments to do. I had to do some fabrication on the pawl and a couple other things, but it's mostly in and just needs some adjustment, and then we're getting close to putting this back in the game. Still working on the Mannequin coil assembly, and I found the Mannequin arm return spring, which this game was missing, so I was lucky to find one of those in my stash. All right, back on the 10 strike here. I had 5 days I couldn't do much because I hurt my back, but feeling healthy, and we're back at it, back in the shop again today. So I'm getting ready to prep that playfield to go in the cabinet, but before I did that, I just wanted to take care of some things that I was putting off to the end. The coin switch wires were not connected, and the wires to the Jones plug for the coin door were not connected, so I had to do some research there and get those wires in the right proper positions. I attached the on and off switch to the cabinet where I just had it laying in there before, and then I ran the harness from the bottom control board there up through to the back box. So now we have the harness all connected and plugged into the back box. So that's done. So the cab is pretty much ready for the playfield to go in, but I figured while I have the pin unit out, I am gonna adjust the bowling pin strings to the proper length because I just have them run long for now. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna get those adjusted and then put it back in the game, and then I just have a couple small things to do to the playfield before I can put it in. And mainly it's the Mannequin return spring there has to go in, and adjust the coil plunger for the arm, Mannequin arm. And that's about it. And then it's ready to go in the game. So hopefully today I'll have the playfield in the cabinet and it'll start to look like something. So let me continue on, and I'll follow up when I get something else done where I can update you. I now have the pin strings adjusted to length. So this is ready to go back into the game, hopefully for the last time. And just got that spring, like I mentioned earlier, for the Mannequin, and then we're gonna set this playfield. Okay, so we got the playfield prepped and set into the cabinet. I just have to lift it and plug in the Jones plug, and then we can try a coin up. Okay, we have the playfield in the machine, in the cabinet, and we're gonna turn it on for the first time. So here we go, 3, 2, 1, on. Okay, we got lights in the back box. Let's coin it up and see what happens. Obviously, the Mannequin arm needs adjusted. Okay, let's give it a stroke and see what happens. Needs adjusted. It's very weak. Obviously the pins are not coming down. So let me take a look at it and I'll be right back. Okay, the good news is I forgot to plug in the Jones plug for the pin unit. So when I reinstalled that, obviously it's not going to work if it's not plugged into the Jones plug. So I plugged that in. Let's turn it on and see if we can get the pin unit to work this time. Okay, power on. Okay, we got lights. Didn't have those before under the Playfield. So that's good. Let me point it up and let's see if the pins work. All right, awesome. That's good news, huh? We definitely have a power issue with the Mannequin arm. I don't know. I'll have to take a look at that, see what's going on. And you can see no power there, so it wouldn't even go past the bowling pins. Okay. All right, so let's do a little more work on the Mannequin arm and see what we can get going here. That's something new. Didn't have that before. All right, let me keep messing with it. I'll be back when I get something else fixed on it. All right, made a little bit more progress today. I was working on the Mannequin power and I got it to where he's got plenty of power now. And may have to actually tone it down a little bit. So just let me give you a look here. So let me coin it up. I don't have a lock bar on, so I just got to drop a coin. Okay, so plenty of power now. That's actually pretty good where it's at. It's just, I'd like to tone it down just a tad because, you know, I don't want anything breaking apart. I mean, normally, you know, a lot of guys get concerned about the castings on these Mannequins, but you see a lot of them that are cracked and broken. This one's really nice, but I don't believe they break by gameplay. I think they're getting broke by transportation when somebody's moving the games and they got the domes off or whatever and they get the Mannequin is sticking out and it gets smacked. from side to side and gets broken that way. I really don't think, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think they're getting broke by gameplay. All right, I'm going to continue on. We're getting real close on this one, so I got a few more punch points to do, and then she'll be ready for just some game testing and minor adjustments. So I'll be back when I get something else done. I think the next thing I'm going to work on, this game came to me with this funky lock bar. It's not original to the game, and it's about as ugly as you can get, so I'm going to put a new one on there and get the coin denomination tags on there and the carriage bolts and whatnot, and it'll improve the look on this immensely. So let me work on that, and I'll be right back. All right, so working on the lock bar, I got the brand new one pretty much installed. I have a little bit of adjustment yet on it, but it turned out really nice. I mean, this thing looks really good. Believe it or not, those coin entry plates are very difficult to find. I was lucky to find these. Probably the next machine I'll do, I'll have to fabricate them. That thing, whew, looks good. The 10 pins is only set up for 10 cents. You can see there's only one coin return slot right there. And the lock bars usually come with 10 cents for one play, 25 cents for 3 plays. And so I had to put the 25-cent in there since it was already cut out for it, but I have a slug in it, so it will not accept any coins except for the 10-cent side. So all right, things are starting to shape up on this one. Now we're going to start working on making a coin box. This one's missing, and so I got the sheet metal out, and we're going to start cutting that and get that made. I'll be back when I get something done. I've been working on this coin box and pretty much have it made. I got a little bit of detail work to do on it, and then we'll get this in paint. So let me continue on, and I'll update you when I get something else done. Okay, the coin box is finished. I did a special cleaning on it, and I have it drying under the infrared right now, and then we're going to seal it, and then that'll be done, ready to go back in the machine. Here's the finished coin box, so it's ready to go into the game. Let me put it in there, and we'll be done with this. And here it is in the machine, so we can check this one off the list. And here we have the finished game. We have the hood installed now. All right, let's do a little bit of gameplay. I'll try some different angles just so you can, it's hard to get it all in one shot.